I would like to begin by paying my respect to the local Indigenous people, the traditional custodians of this land where we are meeting upon today. When I first came to Australia, I had no knowledge of Indigenous peoples in Australia, and I had even less knowledge about music and Indigenous Australian culture. My incorrect, biased view was that Aboriginal music was full of loud drums, didgeridoos, and other exotic instruments. This course instantly called out me on my biases and has helped me to begin the process of understanding Indigenous Australian music. With that being said, music has played a major role in my own life. For me, music defines it. When a certain album, song, or artist is played, it takes me back to specific memories or time periods of my life. For example, whenever I hear this intro for the song Kicking the Leaves by Judah and the Lion, I can find my way through the trees. I'm transported to a joyful memory of camping under an infinite sea of stars in the Appalachian Mountains in Tennessee. Songs that I can relate to end up leaving powerful, emotional imprints on my lived experience. This is why I was drawn to the music produced by Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander artists. I have learned of many songs by Indigenous Australian artists and the impact of these songs on Indigenous and non-Indigenous Australians. Therefore, as I began my journey to better understand Indigenous appreciation and production of music, I asked the following questions. In what way does music, the collective nature of song, speak as an emotional testimony for Indigenous Australia? Now, in order to answer this question, I'm going to look at the importance of music in Aboriginal history, modern life, and film. Through all of these factors, I hope to show that for Indigenous people, emotion is the backbone in music, which provides an essential, necessary, and powerful platform for Indigenous Australia to express their often traumatic testimony with one another, as well as a larger white Australian audience. The first place where music helps to shape the Indigenous emotional testimony is the stolen generation. The tragedy and heartbreak of the stolen generations became a focal point for artists in order to express the trauma in a society that wanted to neglect the traumatic experiences of many Aboriginal peoples. Barney McKinley wrote that without doubt, song has become a powerful and empowering medium for Indigenous Australians to make visible and share amongst themselves, their families and communities in wider Australia, the traumatic histories, memories, and experiences of the stolen generations. Songs such as They Took the Children Away by Archie Roach and Brown Skin Baby by Bob Randall clearly depict the emotion present within the songs and became a national anthem for many Indigenous Australians. As Barney and McKinley write, in Brown Skin Baby, the haunting chorus emphasizes the mother's perspective and sings of the grief and sorrow of the mother who cried as the stockman take them away. These emotions of grief and sorrow are everywhere in nearly every song that sings about the stolen generation, and they characterize how emotion is the backbone of Aboriginal music, which is able to tell the traumatic narrative of the stolen generation. The second glimpse of emotion in music is the importance of emotional songs used in protest. One primary example of this is From Little Things, Big Things Grow by Paul Kelly and Kev Carmody. The song has been used in protest over land rights. Written originally in 1966, it is an example of how meaning is created through a song. Carmody himself said, "This is the first step in a new beginning for Australians as a nation to mature. Denial of the past makes the future a lie. Through the history the victors have written, the history of the vanquished." Songs like these and other songs used in protest, like Treaty by Yothu Yindi, give a further meaning to the emotional lyrics of the song. When songs like these are used in protest, it allows Indigenous Australians to sing of trauma trails, as Judy Atkinson writes about, which are deeply embedded in Indigenous Australian people's experiences, memories, and histories as they attempt to reconcile the devastating effect of protectionist and assimilation policies on their lives. Especially true in regards to songs used in protest, Barney and McKinley said, Singing this trauma can be read as a medium for Indigenous Australians to speak back against the traumatic effects of forcible removal. Furthermore, when we take a step into the present, we also see music shaping the current emotional testimony of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islanders today. One clear song that represents the way in which modern Indigenous Australian musicians continue to shape the testimony of Australia is The Children Came Back by Briggs, which is a sequel to They Took the Children Away. This song continues the emotional testimony of the stolen generation in a modern and passionate manner. It is a song of remembrance, resilience, resistance, and self-representation, which are all key components to the stories of Indigenous people groups. Briggs also shows how music can have a part to play in the complicated narrative of reconciliation. Komissaroff says that reconciliation is a complex process, not a state to be achieved or a goal to be reached. But through songs like these, with lyrics such as, "The children came back, back where their hearts grew strong, back where they all belong, the children came back," The process of reconciliation in the Indigenous emotional testimony can be aided by music. This is also seen in a recent performance of Patrick Mao and Christina Mu at the 2018 Commonwealth Games. Here, Mao takes the song Island Home and adds a modern, emotional hip-hop element to the song. Take a look.
From the north to the south, to the east to the west, let a baller take it home. Island style represent, put your soul to the flow. Love your set represent, raise your pride to the sky. Love it like it's the best. Unite with music, heart and mind reconnect. Feel we're blessed when the music connects. Unite with music, heart and mind reconnect. Ancestors take us on that quest.
This song is filled with much more positive emotion and celebrates indigeneity. Mao raps lyrics like, raise your pride to the sky, love it like it's best, ancestors take me on that quest. Showing that being a Torres Strait Islander is a place of pride and resilience among the trauma that has persisted. It is important for Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islanders to be able to remember, express, and feel this perseverance on a national and international level. Performances like these allow pride, remembrance, resilience, resistance, and self-representation to continue as part of the Indigenous story. One album that personally has struck me as a powerful representation of an Aboriginal narrative is Black Smoke by Emily Warama. Emily Warama is a singer-songwriter from Groote Island and sings many songs in her native language of Anindiyakwa. Listen to the song Black Smoke now.
Maybe underneath the pale moonlight, or maybe underneath that tree.
It is moving and emotional and allows the listener to feel the story of feeling displaced in modern Australia. Emily claims that music is my escape. It's my confidant. I can be who I want to be, express what I want, and not care about who's judging me or listening, because at the end of the day, my music is an expression of myself. Modern songs and artists like Emily and so many more allow Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander artists to express themselves freely. It is a way to express the emotions and to tell the stories that need to be told in an art form. For me, this has impacted my view of music in the Indigenous communities, and it has helped me to appreciate much more the freedom behind a song, instruments, and dance. It is also important to note that music produced by Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islanders is not the only music that shapes the emotional narrative of Indigenous peoples. This emotional testimony is also shaped by various non-Indigenous music appreciated by Indigenous audiences. Music genres such as country, western, pop, reggae, blues, rap, and R&B also influence the emotional testimony of Indigenous Australians. As seen in the radio playlist for Kama when I was listening to it the other day, Khalid was being broadcasted, and he's an American hip-hop-R&B singer. This diverse appreciation of music is easily seen in the movie Samson and Delilah. This film, Milner writes, looks to music that Aboriginal people actually listen to, music that is a part of their everyday life, such as country and reggae. Milner says this choice of music helps to locate the emotions of Aboriginal Australia in a contemporary cinematic context. The opening scene of Samson and Delilah includes a country music song, Sunshiny Day, by Charlie Pride. The lyrics, every day is going to be a sunshiny day, ironically contradict the dire but seemingly perpetual situation Samson finds himself in. This helps to locate contemporary Indigenous Australia through music. It shows how white Australia wants to radio in the idea that every day is going to be a sunshiny day, when in fact, so many Indigenous Australians are in dire and perpetual traumatic situations that need daily help. Another scene where non-Indigenous music is prevalent is where Delilah is listening to Latin music as Samson dances to hard rock. Contrast of these two genres are evident and shows the tender, delicate, and soothing notes of Latin music take over the hard rock. In this scene, Samson dances the sexy dance that many Aboriginal children do, as Warwick Thornton said. This scene shows how music itself is used as part of the cinematic apparatus that fashions the basic love narrative between the two characters. More specifically, non-Indigenous produced music plays into this love cinematic while remaining authentic and true to the indigeneity of the characters, and this can effectively be translated to a wider Australian audience. Ultimately, this film shows how music is woven intricately into many facets of the Indigenous emotional testimony, regardless of whether or not it was produced by an Indigenous artist. Ultimately, through the music of past, the music of the present, and the music found in movies, it is clear that emotion is the backbone of music, which provides an essential, necessary, and powerful platform for Indigenous Australia to express their often traumatic testimony with one another, as well as a larger white Australian audience. It is important that music is preserved and continuously produced in order to keep expressing the emotional narrative of Indigenous Australia. For me, I've completely grown in this process and realizing that music is more than the use of exotic instruments and ceremonial practices. I've seen that music can have a massive impact and produce powerful messages for Indigenous and non-Indigenous Australians, and it is absolutely necessary for new musicians to continue to create so that the emotions of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander stories can be expressed. Thank you.